The weather there is very nice and beautiful, and you would love it there. And I just felt like, okay, it seems like this man is going to like approve my visa. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Covenant Adiwale. If you're new here, welcome to the family. I am so excited to have you here. I hope that at the end of this video you find value, that you love this video, and give it a thumbs up, comment, share, subscribe, and do not forget to turn on your notification bell so you can get notified for newer videos coming up. Alright, by the title of this video you can already tell that I am going to be giving you the tea on study abroad, specifically the United States, and I would also be answering all of your questions. Many of the questions that I got were very similar. I have the questions right here in front of me on my laptop, and I'm just going to be answering them, as well as giving you detailed information and everything that you need to do. The first question says, what are the procedures to study in the United States? Now, the first thing I would say, as someone who wants to study in the United States or anywhere abroad, you need to research. I'm very glad we're in a jet age, I believe we all have a smartphone, and even if you do not have a smartphone, you have people that have a smartphone. We have computers. So one of the first things that I would say is to research. Research your line of study. Research what you actually want to do for your master's. Know what you want to do for your master's or for your PhD. That's the first step. Also, research schools. If you're particular about scholarship, research schools that are giving scholarship. Now, one thing I would want you to take note of is that a lot of schools are giving scholarship in the United States for fall season. Now, fall season is usually August, September. August, actually. So target fall season, because that is when a lot of universities in the United States are giving scholarships. I got into school, I started my school session in fall. I applied for fall season specifically. After you've researched and you've narrowed down your school, you need to search the websites for their requirements. But I'm going to be mentioning to you a few requirements that is very common to all schools. Number one requirement is your international passport. Now, this is very important. You know that for you to travel to the United States or for you to travel abroad, you need an international passport. So if you do not have an international passport, you need to start the process. You would also need your degree certificate, be it your first degree or your master's. If you have master's already and you want to go for a second master's or you want to go for a PhD, you would need your certificates. And after your certificates, you would also need your transcript. Most times it's going to be your unofficial transcripts for the process of your application. And when you've been accepted into a school and you have accepted the school offer, you would then send in your official transcript through your school. Your school would mail these transcripts to the school that you are going to. Another thing that you will need is your statement of purpose. I like to call this the backbone of your application. Now, the reason why I call this the backbone of your application is this is where you sell yourself to the graduate school. This is where you tell them about your academic achievements. This is where you tell them about yourself. This is where you tell them about your growth, your interest in the particular course that you're aiming to study in. And this is where you tell them why you've chosen their schools out of thousands of schools in the United States. Another thing that you would need is your curriculum vitae or your academic resume. This is very important for your application because this is what is going to show. Just like you have a work resume, you'd have an academic resume where it will show all your academic achievements, everything that you've volunteered for, all the journals and articles you've written for, or you've published, whatever it is that you've done with your professor, with your lecturers, whatever it is that you've done academically. This is where you show everything with dates, and as well as where you tell them about your undergraduate thesis or your master's thesis, whatever the case may be. Now, many of the schools in the United States would require you to take a English proficiency test. This could be IELTS or IELTS, the International English Language Test, or TOEFL. Now, either of these two tests, you have to take one of them for many of the schools in the United States, especially if you're coming from a country that is not an English speaking country or an Anglophone country, like many would call it. Now, some schools do not require you to write the IELTS or the TOEFL. So sometimes English proficiency tests are waived and you might just be required to submit an English proficiency letter from your university telling them that you probably studied in English and you have a good command of the English language. Another thing that is very important for your application is recommendation letters or reference letters. Now, this is a letter that you get from perhaps your lecturers, your supervisor, people that you've worked with to attest to your academic excellence or to attest to your academic reputation or your good reputation, or if you're of good standing. This is what your recommendation letter is for. So if you do not have a good relationship with your lecturers or your professors, my brother and my sister, I really do not know. But honestly speaking, if you're in the university right now, this is the time for you to start building a cordial relationship with your professors. And it is just very important, because you do not know when these people or where these people would come up and save you when you need them. You would always need them. I do not want you to have that mindset that you would never need them once you're out of school. You would always need them, except you do not plan to further your studies. Another thing that may be required of you is an academic essay. This could be a critical analysis of something, or something that just shows critical thinking from your hand. You might need this. Now, in my case, I needed to submit a critical analysis of something. So I just submitted an extraction from my undergraduate thesis, and that was it. I'm currently doing my MFA program in creative writing, and for my application I had to submit a portfolio of my work. It could be a novel, it could be short stories. In my case, I submitted a portfolio of my short stories. So these are things that could be required of you for your application. You need to research the schools that you're going to, and you need to know what they're asking of you. So I'm going to be mentioning a few schools that our applications are opened right now. And on my list, I have the University of Missouri, St. Louis. I have University of South Dakota, Western Washington University, University of South Carolina. University of South Carolina is waiving application fee and also GRE for some courses. So you can go onto their website and check if you are going to be a beneficiary of this. Now, you need to understand that this is not an advertisement. This is just a research that I did, and I felt like I should let you all know about this. There's also Western Illinois University, Virginia University, University of Vermont, Georgia State University, University of Central Florida, University of Maine, Central Michigan University, University of North Carolina, Charlotte, North Dakota State University. I hope that you can just check out these schools or research more schools that you would be interested in applying to. I would also like you to know that these schools that I have mentioned are also accepting HND, so you should not feel restricted because you have an HND degree. This is also an opportunity for you. You could also go and further your education, do your master's or your PhD, whatever it is. The last question I'm going to be attending to in this video is, how was the visa interview? Like, what were the questions? Alright, so my visa interview, to the glory of God, went well. For everything in your life, always take God. Always let God hold your hand. It is very, very important. One thing that I kept on saying while I was on that queue on that very day, on the 20th of June 2023, while I was on the queue waiting to be interviewed, one thing I kept on mouthing was God's grace. God's grace. I kept on saying God's grace. I had prayed and prayed and prayed, because if I'm being honest with you, I did not have so much preparation. I did not prepare a lot for this interview. And this is not because I was being lackadaisical about it. I was working an 8 to 6 job, and you know Lagos, I had to wake up as early as like 4 a.m. I have to be on my way to work at 5 a.m. and by the time I'm back from work it's like 10 p.m. 11 p.m. and I'm so tired and I just go to bed. But one thing that really helped me was practicing with my my friends, with my partner, and I also watched a lot of videos. So this is one thing I'm going to advise for you to do. If you're going for a visa interview, watch a lot of videos, prepare. And one thing that I would also say that helped me was that I prepared an interview transcript for myself. So I listed a lot of questions that I felt like could be asked, and I gave answers to them and I practiced. So when I got to my visa interview, as soon as I got to the front of the consulate, I was like, oh, and then he mentioned the name of my school, and I was like, oh, okay. It made me feel at ease, because of the way he like showed, oh, I know this school. And then he was like, oh, why did you apply? Why did you choose this school? And then I told him I chose this school because I can't even remember what I said, if I'm being honest. I just know that I was blabbing a lot. I was very tense. I just told him the reason why I chose my school. And then it was like, okay. And then he proceeded to tell me, oh, where you're going to, North Carolina has a very good weather. The weather there is very nice and beautiful, and you would love it there. And I just felt like, okay, it seems like this man is going to like approve my visa. And then the next question, he asked me, what did I study in the university? And I told him what I studied. I told him I studied English literature in Resumé University. And then he was like, okay, I can see you have a deficit. Who is going to cover your deficit? Now, mind you, my education is fully funded, but my deficit was because I noticed that my school had a lot of they added living expenses to the whole thing, the whole bill. So the deficit I had was for my living expenses. And then I told him, oh, my father who works in so place, and this is his name, this is what he does, this is how much he earns, he's going to be the one that will be covering my deficit. And then he was like, okay, proceeded to tell me how I would collect my passport and handed me the white paper. Now bear in mind, when you get to the American embassy, there are two kinds of papers. There's a blue paper and then there's a white paper. If you're handed the blue paper, it means your visa has been denied. If you're handed the white paper, it means your visa has been approved. One thing I kept on thinking is, white paper is my own. Right, so that is that about my visa interview experience. It was nothing crazy. I did not have a crazy interview experience. I've had people add theirs worse, but if you trust in God and you work hard enough, I think it's going to be easy for you by God's grace. I hope I've been able to answer all of your questions. If there are more questions, you can just leave them in the comment sections, and I'll be in the comment section answering your questions. I'm going to be leaving details of everything that I have said in my description box, so you can go ahead and read it for more information. And thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it and gained 1 or 2 knowledge from this. Do not forget to give it a thumbs up, and do not forget to subscribe and turn on your notification bell. Bye, guys.